All right, San Francisco District Judge issues the temporary restraining order against Donald Trump for Gavin Newsom, saying that Donald Trump is not allowed to bring forward the National Guard in California without Gavin Newsom's permission. Gavin Newsom didn't give him permission, so he's not allowed to do it, according to Justice Breyer. And it actually, I went down to the courtroom yesterday. I got a chance to see oral argument. We had basically a huge, blockbuster appearance. I shot the video at the courthouse right after it came out, and it was basically, it's just a packed house. And just when I made that video, just be mindful. When I made the video, I walked out. There had not officially been a ruling yet. Okay, there wasn't officially like a ruling. The judge took the matter under submission, and so he hadn't orally made his ruling until shortly thereafter. So when I made the video, he hadn't made it yet. But I was 100% already making the call as to what he was going to say. He was going to grant the restraining order against the president for Gavin Newsom. Politically motivated for sure. But here's the latest and greatest update as to what's going to happen next. And I'll give you kind of a background on it. So the way I'm seeing it all go down, because people have asked, talked to a bunch of people on the phone already about it, going at it. So first of all, there's going to be another hearing right after that. So he granted the restraining order. What that means is that Donald Trump was ordered by that Judge Breyer to have the National Guard exit California by 12 noon today, Friday, the 13th of June. Okay? Got to get him out. Sorry, pal. You can't do that, Mr. President. You didn't do the procedure right. You didn't get Gavin Newsom's blessing and permission. He doesn't want the National Guard here. Therefore, too bad, so sad, Mr. President. You're not allowed to do that. Couple ways to look at that. One, here's the positive side. If you're all about state sovereignty, 10th Amendment powers, hey, that's the positive side I'm seeing. Because, then if that's the case, then apparently California is a sovereign nation republic. It's its own private nation. It's not part of Washington, D.C. at all. That's ultimately the statement that judge has given, in my opinion. It's so powerful, it's so sovereign, it's so independent that you, Mr. President, have no authority to come over here and tell California what to do. That you want to have the National Guard, because it's a different nation. That's ultimately what this judge ruled on. He didn't say, I'm taking it way out of context here, but that's the way I'm seeing it. Now, he came into a technical legal argument under it was 10 U.S.C. 12407, I think. Anyways, it talked about how invoking the National Guard, the president must go through the governor. Go through the governor. Shall go through the governor. The judge took that out of context and he says, well, that means you got to get the governor's consent, his permission. You got to get him to sign off on it. If he doesn't want to do it, too bad. And that's not at all what Trump's attorney said. He said, wait a second. It's not up for debate. It just says go through the governor, which is, then he goes through what's called the adjutant general, which is a military leader in the National Guard. And the notices go through him. You contact the governor, pick up the phone, call the guy. Hey, pal, you need to do this right now. You got a big problem. The city's burning down. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna take care of it myself. He waited a little longer. Things got worse. He said, go through the governor. He put some paperwork together and said, look, you need to get the National Guard going. I'm going through the governor. So Trump's side saying they followed every procedure, went through the governor. Everything was right. Of course, Judge Breyer, 82 years old, bow tie, sitting up on the bench, probably, San Francisco through and through, one of the, I would say probably one of the Jesuit club in Newsom and Pelosi. These old San Francisco people are, I'm talking, I could talk bad about them because I'm from there. So I hope you know that I'm not, I'm talking about myself just as bad, right? So in a way, that these people they have a certain aura about them and they think that they're, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. There's a certain way they operate, and the way I could just tell when I see them that's a San Franciscan. And then I'm not saying they're bad, but in this context, these people are the same way, and that's just how their politics is, and they believe that what they're doing is the only way, and that's the highway. So that's what this judge did, no matter what. And he didn't even bother to hear argument from the Attorney General's side. for Gavin Newsom. He didn't need to. He'd already made up his decision. That's why when I walked out of the courtroom, I knew the decision. So he granted the restraining order. Next is going to be the immediately thereafter, Gavin Newsom went out and live TV started gloating. The people in the San Francisco, of course, they're celebrating. But then shortly thereafter, Donald Trump's attorney went to the Ninth Circuit, which is another court down the street, and that's over there at what exactly cross street for the Ninth Circuit? It's also downtown. I can't remember. It's downtown. So anyways, there's another court for the Ninth Circuit, and they went there and they got a stay. The stay means that now that temporary restraining order, which says Donald Trump, you got to get the National Guard out of California by Friday at 12, is stayed. That's stayed right now because they applied. We said Ninth Circuit, which is the appellate court over these guys. You need to stay that. Please stay this crazy judge's order, Judge Breyer's crazy order. He's lost his marbles up there. He got too old, 83. He's got the bow tie and he's drinking whiskey or something on the bench. I don't know what type of stuff he was smoking to even match to this. Anyways, he's just it is what it is. Rogue judge litigating the whole case, used complete hearsay evidence from media, basically from, and this is one of the craziest parts about the ruling is that he said he didn't want to even hear evidence from the president. He says, since you're saying I don't have jurisdiction to even hear this, well, then I don't even need to look at your evidence then. So don't even bother giving it to me. Oh, but judge, no, it's too late. He kept saying it's too late. I don't need to look at that evidence. Too late. At that point, I knew it was over 100% because the no jurisdiction is called non-judiciable issue. The judge got real upset about. He was extremely mad about that. He was out of character. At that point, I would have asked for a recusal of the judge. The judge, respectfully, I think you're acting a little out of character here. I'm going to ask you to recuse yourself. You're getting emotional. You're upset. You're taking this personal. It's not a personal issue. We believe the law allows that says you have no jurisdiction to decide this matter. This is an executive power, not a judicial power. A district court judge. This is their argument. He doesn't have the authority to rule on this. This is a constitutional statutory power issued by Congress saying the president can do this. So I'm sorry that you believe otherwise, but it's not something you can rule on. Oh, he went berserk for that. He was irate for that. That's when he just went off. How, you dare you do that? I mean, he didn't use these words, but I mean, this was his rant. 45 minutes of ranting at Trump's attorney. And then just for a couple minutes, the attorney general gets up there. Oh, judge, this is open and shut case. Don't even worry about it. You got it pretty much from here. Thanks a lot. And he says a few things. That was it. I mean, it was open and shut after that. I mean, he'd already made up his mind. He took it under submission, ruled. And anyways, the latest is going to be on Tuesday. It's a hearing. Trump Newsom 25-3727 has been scheduled for Tuesday, June 17th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. The panel, judges Bennett, Miller, and Sung will preside over the hearings remotely. Counsel for the parties will also be remotely. The proceedings will be live streamed with unlimited public access. Well, that's cool. So anybody can watch this one. The last one, they had limited access, no recordings in the courtroom. You're not allowed to film, nothing. So obviously there's no recording. I mean, the marshals were really clear about that, which you obviously have to follow because it would be against the law to do that. So marshals are really cool. Marshals are amazing. By the way, respect to the marshals. I know those guys and love them at that courthouse, man. They're just freaking awesome. I mean, they couldn't be better. They're like world class. The marshals are just the best. Amazing law enforcement, dude. And they're respectful, but professional and firm. People know they don't mess with the marshals. They don't even question it. It's like, you don't record and you don't bring out your phone, start videotaping and recording. It's just not allowed. So, but this one is going to be streamed live, so everybody can watch this one. It'll be more of a, virtual public hearing. And then they're going to have the courtroom. It's James R. Browning United States Courthouse located at 7th and Mission. Okay, 7th and Mission. So over there in Soma area. Well, it's technically Mission, but it's 7th and Mission building. So yeah, that'll be cool. And you can go in person, but it's only 100 people will be allowed in and limited. So if I get in, I'll be lucky. Basically 100 people, and that's it, are allowed in. That's it. So we'll see if I can get in or not. I mean, there's probably going to be a line of people outside to even get in, and it's only 100, and I'll probably have to wait overnight to get in. So it'll be unlikely that I'll be that patient to be waiting overnight to get in line to be one of the first 100 people to get into the courtroom. So probably just watch it, stream it, talk about it afterwards. But ultimately what's going to happen is they're going to do a rule on the overturning this TRO. And the court, the plaintiff, the defendant, Donald Trump's team, they wanted to have the injunction ruled on right there because that would be appealable. But apparently he only issued the TRO, and now they're staying that. It seems to be appealable pretty fast. There's a lot. It's really complicated in a way, but it's not. Ultimately, it's showing, I hope it's showing the people what is wrong with our judiciary, that they're no longer operating on law. They're operating on political nature. Oh, who were you appointed by? He was appointed by President Clinton. So therefore, he must be against Donald Trump. That should not be what our judges are about. It should be about law and fact, technical rule. That's it. No outside of that, no political, no personal bias, no political, none of that. That should not be a part of these decisions. And it's obvious on its face that it is. Because the Ninth Circuit's probably going to overturn this. It's going to go back. Justice Breyer's going to have an egg on his face, and he's going to look like a fool for doing what he did. Rogue judge should retire, go home early, get recalled. I don't know. Federal judge. See, the federal judge, only way to go after a federal judge is through Congress. You got to, because it's a lifetime appointment. So you got to go through the congressman, and the congressman has to do a motion to impeach him. So maybe Alex Padilla over there in the Senate, he can do it, right? I'm sure he will probably go and maybe try to impeach this judge, right? I'm sure that would happen, right? He was over there going after Kristi Noem, apparently making a big deal about her in his building. And that was another California federal building he was in, and he was basically running around saying, Kristi Noem, I don't want you, you're doing all these things wrong. Why couldn't he have just raised his hand and waited for questions like the media, like everybody else? Why does he have to go in there and interrupt everybody and then go and try to approach her? That's unprofessional. I don't care if you're a senator or a regular guy. You don't interrupt the Homeland Security Director. You wait your turn because there's going to be a time. Any questions? Yes, I have a question. Mr. Alex Padilla can go up and say his question. He just had to wait a little longer till the end of the press conference. Then he could have asked his question that he had, but he interrupted everything, and that's why they removed him. She was making a point, and it was her turn to talk. You can't just go and interrupt when the person is making a press conference like that. Everybody knows that. That's just not polite. That's bad behavior. Wait till they're done. Then they're going to say, are there any questions? That's your chance. I mean, everybody knows that. That's common etiquette. So that's the latest and greatest on the stuff here with Newsom versus Trump. Excited to be there in the courtroom, have the opportunity. Shout out to all the marshals. They're the best in the nation for sure. It's too bad for Justice Breyer, though, not having any sort of way to understand the law, and misinterpreting what Congress wanted. Very clear. And no precedent. There's no authority to do what he did. He's not like relying on another case that said, oh, last year this happened and everybody does it this way now. No, he's saying Donald Trump didn't follow the law. He didn't go through the governor, meaning he didn't get the governor's permission. Gavin Newsom's permission? Oh, that's right. This guy who never did the high-speed rail, and all that. He promised the high-speed rail. It's going to be happening any day now. The high-speed rail, they got the transit center right downtown, and no trains, not a track. Never started the track. Billions of dollars gone to the Newsom family, and all right. But he's our guy. Anyways, that's the latest and greatest. So hit the ones. I want to just give a little recap on it. Gavin Newsom's TRO granted, and then the Ninth Circuit stayed the matter. It'll be heard on Tuesday for oral argument, 12 o'clock. I'll definitely recap and see what the heck happens. It'll be exciting to see. Hit the ones. Like, all right, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you at the top.